Hi, this is Christine. Welcome to my YouTube channel Scrappin' Rabbit and to my craft room. Today I want to show you some tips and little tricks for extending the use of your punches and dies. And I was actually working on some little journals today, and I needed some tabs for the journals, and they're quite small. My journal pages are very small, so I need some little tabs to put in there. And unfortunately the dies that I had were just for the large tabs, and I thought, oh, there's probably a way that I can use my existing equipment and make some tiny little tabs. And it turns out that there is. So I started making my tabs, and then I just got sidetracked and started playing with my other punches and with my dies, and I thought, well, maybe I'll make a video and show you guys a couple of the tricks that I used with my equipment. So I'm going to start by showing you these little tabs that I made, tiny little tabs, and these actually will fit just perfectly inside my journal. So I'm going to move my stuff aside, and we can get started. Now, I had this punch. It's a ticket punch, and I wanted to use that to make the tab. I thought that would look kind of nice as the pull section. Now, the problem with this is, of course, when you're punching, you get a ticket, so you have to fold it down the middle. And for my tab, I want my fold here so that this can fit on the edge of my page. So the easy way around that is I'll just take a little piece of cardstock. So what you can do is cut a small piece of cardstock to fit the size of the tab, like that, and then I fold it in two. Now this is a section where I'm going to have my little cutouts here. So I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to slide the folded section so that it's lined up with the end of my punch design, but I'm not going to go all the way through because it's going to cut. I don't want to cut at the fold line, so you're just going to slide that like that so that you can see the fold. And then I punch. So there's my tab. Then I can just trim it to the length that I need. So I thought that was kind of handy. So I'm using these styles of tabs for my little mini albums and journals. Now, of course, I started playing with my other punches to see what I could get out of them. And similarly, I can make some tabs with this one. And I've got two different types of tabs, and also you can make this little tag that opens up, and you're using the same idea. I fold it in two, and then I insert it inside my punch, and if it's too long you can cut it more. So I'm going to position that like that so that the very top won't be punched. You can see there's a little gap up there. Now I'm going to do this on the floor because this punch is a little bit harder than my other ones to use. So there we go. And there's my little tag. Now, likewise, I can make my tabs from this. I can make two types of tabs. So there's one. I really like this style too, but that would be for a larger album. And then I can make it even smaller. Like that. And then I can trim it to make it shorter. So just by playing around with your punches, it's amazing what you can come up with, and it's a great way to save money. I thought, I don't want to run out and buy another die just for small tabs when I can come up with a way of doing it myself. Then I also had this punch that I wanted to play with, and similar to this tag, I made this little flip tag like that, so that you just take a piece of paper upside down and do the same thing. You don't want to cut the fold. Punch, and there you have it. So this is like super simple, but it's another way, quick way of making these little fold outs. Then I also made this tag, which is different from the others. I like the shape, and to do that I use the same punch. So I put this in my punch and I make sure that it's lined up nice and straight. And then I can trim off. And there we go. There's a cute little tag that's made with this punch. And then you could carry this further and even trim off. Let's see what it looks like if I cut it here. That's kind of cute. Looks like a file folder tab. There we go. So that's the extent of my play with the punches. Then I started thinking, I've got a bunch of dies that I can do similar techniques with, and I'm supposed to be doing a video on my next journal, but I got distracted and I took out my dies and my Big Shot. This is the first die that I'm going to use. I've already done a video on this one, but it works with so many different dies. I thought I'll do a quick demo again on how to get different sizes out of one die. So with this one die, I cut this, which has 3 different layers in different sizes, and I made this one, which is square, and this one, which could be like a little place card holder. And this is the same idea as when I used my punches. So I'm going to start with this one. It's really quick and easy to do. So I'm going to use this piece of cardstock. I fold it in 2, and I want it to be about this size, similar to the size of my die. And I'm going to position this on my Big Shot, and I don't want the top part to be trimmed, so I'm going to extend the top part of my die. Just run it through. And here's my cut piece. So that makes a little placeholder. And also make little tags for journals. So that's this one. Now, I want to make a tag that's going to be longer than this die. So to do that, I'm going to take a piece of cardstock and I place my die. I want to cut the top, but I don't want to cut the bottom. So I'm just going to use a little piece of tape attach that on here like that. I'm going to position it so that the end extends beyond the cutting platform. Now there won't be any pressure on this part because it's overhanging, so it's not going to cut. So I'm going to place it like that. Put my cutting board on top. I'm going to get into more intricate patterns soon. It's hard working when you don't have much room. I'm trying to keep everything in frame. Okay, so there's my first cut at my piece. So I'm just going to tear off some of this. Next, I decide the length that I want. So I'm going to position my die. I want it to be this long. So I position my die and I try to match up the bottom section with the grooves that have already been cut, and that's where that little piece of tape will be really handy. So I can line it up like that. And you can also feel with your fingers where the cut is. And I'm going to place this back on my Big Shot. Again, I don't want to cut down here, so I'm going to make sure that this end extends below my cutting platform. And there's my tag. So that's pretty cool, and it's a great way to get more out of your dies. And by the way, this one is made the same way, only instead of lengthwise, I did it widthwise, and I put it through in 2 passes like that, and I made this large piece. Next, I want to make this small one. Same idea, but because it's smaller, it's even easier to do. There's my first pass. then all I need to do is run it through again. And this time I want to cut here. So I line up the bottom. So there's my smaller one. And let's say I wanted to make a square. Now to do this, I would place my die so that I would cut the left and the top side. I should probably tape this down. Next, I want to do this side. So all I need to do is take my die, and I'm going to position it so I cut the top and the right. And when I place my die on here, I'm going to try and position it so that the design continues. Like I have this little point here. Well, I want that on my other sides as well. So just play around with the die. Whoops. I need to go like that. It's easier if you cut it a little bit larger than you need on the first pass. Okay, I'm going to try that. Now I'm definitely going to put a piece of tape on this one. And there we have it. Next, I started getting a little bit more elaborate, so I took out my fancier dies, and similar to the last few cuts, I made a smaller one out of this die. I really like this die, it's very pretty. Here, I'll use this one. So I position my die on here, and then I decide where I want to cut. I think for this one I'm just going to cut above this design here because I want it to be square. So I'm going to tape this on here. Just to make sure I'm straight, I'll go along the edge. Okay, then I'm going to position this so that this section, bottom section here, is over the edge like that, and you can feel it with your fingers. And I'm also going to put a piece of tape just to hold the paper in position on the platform. So there's my first cut, and then my next one. I will line up the length that I need. And again, I'm going to line up these straight edges with the die. And I'm going to push this so that this section is below the edge of the cutting platform. And there we have it. So the more you play with your dies, the more ideas you'll have on different designs that you can do with them. The next thing I did was, when you see those beautiful cards, pop-up cards, and they're die cut and the die cuts stick beyond the card, you don't need to buy special dies to make them. I know I've seen them in the stores. But again, you can use probably your existing dies to do something similar like I did with this one. So I'm going to have my fold probably about here. I'm going to place this die about there, and I want it to be the width of my card, so I'll just do it like that. Next, I'm going to position this so that it's only going to cut the upper section. And then I'm going to take my scoreboard I'm doing this on a smaller scale, but my card could be larger. Actually, I shouldn't have even scored across there. I should have just scored on either side, and then that folds down and this part stays up. And then I took some of the other dies that come with the set and I attached those to the center, and I did one cutout using the full die, and the bottom section in a contrasting color I attached it here like that. So that's kind of neat, I think. The next one is made with this die, and it's the same idea as this one. So when you open up the card, you've got this partial die cut, and I think it really makes cool cards. But let me show you this one now. I know a lot of people have this Heartfelt Creations die. I see them a lot on YouTube. And how awesome is this card? And that's made exactly the same way as this one. Look at all the details. So you can even use your detailed dies. Oh, I didn't finish punching this one out. You can even use your really detailed dies to make these awesome cards. And again, I think I've seen these in the stores as specialized greeting card dies, but you don't need to buy special dies. I'll show you how to make it using this die. So I need to start with a piece of cardstock that will be long enough. So I'm going to just grab something from my stash. Okay, I'll use this. And I'm going to make it for a wider card. So I'm going to make it 6 inches. That's the maximum I think that I can put through my Big Shot. I'm going to cut that to 6 inches. I might trim a little bit off because I want to border along the edge of my card. So I'm going to cut it down to 8 inches. Now I've attached my 2 pieces together with Scotch tape so that hopefully they won't move around. I'm going to start with my piece of cardstock, and I'm going to fold it in 2. Next, I'm going to decide which part of my die that I want. I'm going to start cutting from here down because this section here will be folded in 2. This part here. So I'm cutting like that. So I only need the half section of the die. But then I need to know where I'm going to stop cutting so that it's part of the card. And I'll just move this up a bit. So I'm going to position it like that. I want to have some of the flat surface here, I guess. I don't know if it makes much of a difference, but that's how I did it last time. So that's going to go like that. And also, I'm going to decide where on the card, how high I want this. So I'm going to cut here and there. So that should be good about here. So I'm going to tape it to my platform, the top. So I know I'm not going to cut beyond that. It's a little bit higher. Like that. Next, I put my cardstock in, and the center fold will line up with the center of the die. And I'm going to have this one about up there. Then I'm going to cut again down here. So I'm going to put that like that. And I've got a little piece of tape to hold the paper in place. Next, I put my other cutting platform and I pass it through. here's my first cut. I'm not going to open it just yet. I'm going to flip this around and I'm going to cut the bottom section. So again, I'm going to position this on my platform, and this time I'm going to want it about even distance top and bottom. So that's going to be about like that. And again, I want to line it up so that it's going to be about the same width. Yeah, we'll try that and just hope for the best. Next, I slide this under. I hope this is staying in frame. So I slide this under and I center here. I tape this down. Take a deep breath and run it through. So I'm making this one so that the band is going to be a little bit wider, quite a bit wider. Okay. Now I can open it up. Oh, I can tell that's going to be gorgeous. Okay, so I'm going to punch all my little bits out after, but what I need to do now is score along the design. Like that. So when you get to the sides, you'll see that some of these little pieces are stuck to the card. Just fold those back. This is going to go out like that. So I want to fold along the sides here and here, and this is where you can just fold these back like that because they won't be visible anyways. Like that, and then this will attach inside my card. Now, as you can see, this part sticks out a little bit too much, so I should have made my cardstock for the outer card a little bit wider. I'm going to start off with a long piece. I'll start with it lengthwise, like that. I should have measured it before I cut, and then that's going to go like that, and it will fit in perfectly. So I folded the sides so that the middle pushes out, and fold that in two and just position that like that. I'm going to grab some glue and just glue around the edge. And I can also put a little bit of glue here, like that. And I think I'm just going to turn these off. I place this inside the card and close. And then I do the same thing on this side. Make sure all these little funny edges are folded back. Close. And let it dry for a bit. And here's what it looks like when you open it. I love it. It's gorgeous. So that's a great way, I think, to add to your greeting cards. You could also attach a message here and here. Yeah, I really like that. So I hope that you found this tutorial useful and gives you a few ideas for making the most of your dies. If I come up with some other ones in future, I'll do a quick video. I had quite a few of them on this one. Sorry if the video was a little bit long. Anyways, I thought I'd share that with you. So now I have to get back to attaching those tabs in my mini album. Have a nice day. Happy crafting. Bye.